Nowhere to Call Home by Cynthia DeFelice, Chapter 11. The smell of coffee woke Frankie the next morning. Pegleg Al had coaxed the fire to life and started a pot boiling. "Cup of misery?" he asked Frankie. "Thanks," she said, taking the tin cup he handed her. Carefully, she took a sip. She'd never tasted coffee before, and she thought misery was a good name for the oily, bitter stuff in her cup. It was warm, though, and she wrapped her cold hands around the cup and huddled closer to the fire. "Got some sand if you want," said Al. Frankie was perplexed by the offer until Al took a paper from his pocket, unfolded it, and held it out to her. "Sugar?" she asked. Al nodded proudly. "Take a pinch," he urged. "Thanks," said Frankie. She sprinkled the sugar in her coffee, stirred it in with a stick, and tasted it. Better," she said with a smile. She looked around for Stewpot and spotted him on the riverbank, splashing his face with water. Vera, still lying nearby, moaned and rolled over, pulling her blanket up over her head. Dot was heading down toward the river to join Stewpot, and the lumps on the ground that were Happy Joe and Blink began to stir. Omaha Red, Slim Jim, and Spit were nowhere in sight. Frankie reached for her traveling bag, thinking she'd get her toothbrush and clean up a bit along with Dot and Stewpot. But the bag wasn't where she had left it the night before. She stood up and looked all around, tossing aside the sacks she and Stewpot had slept on. The bag wasn't anywhere in sight. She touched her pant leg and was reassured to feel her money and her harmonica still there. She tiptoed between the sleeping forms on the ground, but saw nothing except their own knapsacks and bundles. Then, moving outward from the fire in an ever-widening circle, she searched the jungle. "Hey, where are you going?" Stewpot called. His hair was wet and slicked back, and his freckled face was pink from the chill of the river. "Nowhere," answered Frankie. I lost something. It must be around here somewhere." Her voice trailed off as she continued to look in the scrubby brush at the edge of the jungle. Stewpot appeared at her side along with Dot and Blink. "What is it?" he asked. "We'll help you look." "My bag," Frankie answered. "It's got everything in it. Everything I own. Remember last night I got my harmonica out of it? It was right there where we were sitting. Now it's gone." Stewpot and Blink exchanged a worried look. "Where's Red and his bunch?" Stewpot asked. Dot shrugged. "They were already gone when I got up." "Let's look around," Stewpot said grimly. They fanned out in different directions. After several minutes, Frankie was relieved to hear Dot's triumphant voice. "I got it!" Frankie knew she hadn't left her bag way out there, and it certainly hadn't walked by itself. She went with the others to join a grinning Dot who emerged from the bushes holding up Frankie's bag. "Thanks, Dot," said Frankie gratefully, when Dot handed it over. Examining it, Frankie saw that it was open. She set the bag down and looked through the contents. There were her clothes, toothbrush, and books, but everything of value, the silver-trimmed brush, comb, and mirror, and the sewing kit that held the small silver scissors were missing. Tears stung her eyelids, and she fought to keep them back. "Gone," she said. "What's gone?" Stewpot demanded. Frankie looked up at the angry faces of Stewpot, Dot, and Blink. It took a moment for her to realize that they weren't angry with her, but with what had happened. She described the missing items and watched the anger on their faces turn to puzzlement and awe. Then everyone spoke at once. "What's a guy want with stuff like that? Where'd you nab such fancy goods? A jewelry store? Making a heist in a jewelry store takes a lot of brass." "I didn't steal them," Frankie cried. Red and them's probably already sold the stuff by now. This last remark was from a scowling Stewpot. "Sold my things?" Frankie said with dismay. "Did or soon will," answered Stewpot. "I should have warned you to keep a sharp eye out, Frankie. I didn't like the looks of them from the start." "Shouldn't we tell the police?" Frankie asked. As soon as the words were out, she realized what a stupid question it was. "Are you crippled under the hat?" Dot asked scornfully. "You think the cops are gonna believe you ever had the stuff in the first place? They figure you stole it same as we did." She added slyly. "I told you, I didn't steal it," Frankie said hotly, although she knew Dot was right. Okay, don't get yourself riled. So where'd it come from? Let me guess. You're really a rich swell, like in the nickel pictures, right? And you just like sleeping on the ground with the likes of us." Dot shrugged. "Takes all kinds." She turned her back and walked away. Dot's remark was a little too close to the truth. To hide her discomfort, Frankie said, "What's the matter with her?" "Aw, you know how frills are," said Blink. "Always giving a guy a hard time." Frankie took this opening to say, "I didn't expect to see girls," she corrected herself, "frills on the road anyway. Isn't it dangerous?" Stewpot seemed to think about that. "I guess they gotta watch out for themselves more'n we do." "Vera and Dot both figure they're better off on the drag than at home," Blink said. "They sure got some stories." "Like what?" Frankie asked, unable to help herself. "Oh, you know," said Blink. "Vera's mother's boyfriend started messing with her, so she had to get out. And Dot's old man was mean as a snake, from the sounds of it. When she had bruises on her bruises, she couldn't take it no more." Frankie wanted to ask Blink more about Vera and Dot, but Stewpot spoke then. "Guess your stuff's gone for good, Blue. How about we blow out of here?" "Sure," said Frankie. "But if I ever run into that Omaha Red, he'll be sorry." You said it, Frankie, said Stewpot approvingly. You want to come with us? He asked Blink. Where are you going? Stewpot looked at Frankie. We ain't talked about it. Any place special you want to go, kid? Frankie shrugged and added hastily, Anywhere but Chicago. Guess we'll head west, said Stewpot. He winked at Frankie. Show the kid the country. He turned back to Blink. How about it? Nah, replied Blink. I guess I'll stick with Happy Joe and Tex for now. Come winter, we'll probably meet up with you at one of the missions. A shadow passed over Stewpot's face. I don't aim to spend another winter in them flop houses. Them places make me sick, and I already got a cold. As if to prove his point, he sneezed, cleared his throat, and aimed a glob of spittle off into the grass. Well, Frankie Blue, he said, we going or not?